And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. No matter how you may be consuming the show, streaming, over the air, YouTube, KSL Sports, the KSL Sports app, and, of course, our friends in the future in the podcast world. Did I miss anything, Ben?
Nope.
I guess if you were standing in the next room with Christian, you could be hearing us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fine. Christian, you in a better mood today? Man, you were salty yesterday.
Salty.
Yeah, I found out who the tire place was.
Was it who you suspected?
There were two options.
There were two suspects. There were two possibilities, and one of them was...
It was one of the two.
It was one of the two. It was fun to hear Scotty explain it. I don't know if you... were you podcasting yesterday? Whatever.
I was in a meeting, yeah.
I don't know if you heard Scotty explain it, but it didn't sound pleasant.
Sure.
I still couldn't help but thinking, why not just get a ride to the show? Because that was his big focus, because Scotty's a pro. Wanted to make sure he was at the show yesterday at RGS. But hit Christian up. He'll pick you up.
Yeah, please do.
He'll give you
He
a
loves going
ride.
to Brigham City.
Yeah, he does. He could visit family and pick up Scotty. That's like 2 birds.
8 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like 2 birds, 1 stone right there. You can't tell me your parents wouldn't be thrilled to see you, Christian, at 8 a.m. on any day.
They'd be working, but so, yeah.
At 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
Already at work?
Yeah. My mom's a teacher, and then, yeah.
No, I start at 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Not a second earlier.
Teachers do go in early. That is true. We could visit her at school.
What grade?
6th,
Oh,
math.
okay. Oh, so it's a junior high.
Yeah.
Okay. 6th was elementary school for me still. So
Bless her heart. And you know why I say that, Ben? Because I actually, for a hot second, years and years and years ago, considered becoming a teacher.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, I think elementary school would be okay. And I think high school would be okay. I don't think I could handle junior high.
I don't want any part of junior high.
I think, and I don't know, I haven't experienced those years with my own kids, so I don't want to speak.
Your instincts are correct.
I don't want to speak to anything I'm not an expert on. But I do remember what a terrible person I was at that age.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, man, your mom, Christian, is doing, God, what's the best way to put this?
God's work.
Yeah.
The Lord's work.
The Lord's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless her heart. And I mean that entirely. What were you doing in 8th grade, Ben? You were vandalizing something.
Yeah. Probably was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You were vandalizing
Troublemaker.
something.
Of course. Yeah.
And, of course, those days continued till Ben's early 30s. Took him a while to shake it.
Yeah.
His neighbors really got tired of it. Ben, stop spray painting my fence.
It's Ben again.
Because Ben got lazy and didn't want to, climb
I
things
got to be
or
in bed
anything.
early. Yeah. The sun was still up when I was doing it at some point. Pretty brazen.
I'm not vandalizing billboards anymore. I'm just...
Whatever's around. Whatever's close.
Ben, stop it. Or at very least, stop signing your name at the bottom.
Ben Anderson, KSL Sports.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Put your socials on there. Oh, Ben, that's funny. All right, Ben, do you want to start with college football?
Yeah.
Do we care, and I know people do, but do we care about the college football playoff rankings?
I was honestly pretty surprised that Utah was at 13, obviously. And my other question is, why is BYU not higher? But
BYU at 7, Texas Tech 8.
Utah 13.
Uh-huh.
At this point, it feels, on the Utah perspective, feels far more likely Utah makes the college football playoff than it does Utah makes the Big 12 title game, which is a little strange. Again, Utah has to have a couple of things go right with very specific, actually kind of several things go right with two very specific teams, the two teams in front of them, in the Big 12 to make it to the Big 12 title game. They either need BYU to lose, 3 games before the end of the season, which I don't think is going to happen, or Texas Tech to lose 2 more games, which I guess is potentially possible, but I'm not really betting on that either, to make the Big 12 title game. On the flip side, they need any one of these teams in front of them to fall back, and then Utah's sitting there at number 12 and has a real puncher's chance when they finally decide who's going to be in the playoff to go in. And if two teams screw up in front of them, now there's always a potential that somebody jumps them, Utah's going to skate into the college football playoff.
So now don't get my take wrong here, because I've spent the week so far laying scenarios for Utah to get into the playoff. I brought it up when DJ and PK had a guest, Big 12 expert from
TuneIn Radio.
TuneIn Radio, yeah. And he was super optimistic about it, which kind of stood out to me. And so, little discussion. And yeah, I've been that's reasonable. So don't get my take wrong here. This is meaningless.
Sure.
Like them being at 13, you go, oh, well, now they just have to jump one spot. And absolutely meaningless. And we've seen them pull crazy stuff right out of their backside over and over and over again. We've seen them rank teams for storylines.
Yeah.
We've seen them do all of that. And so why we would take any of this seriously is honestly beyond me. And think of how they make the college football playoff committee in the first place. They throw a big group of people that all have their own agenda into it, and this is what falls out. It has nothing to do with, I think that Utah is the 13th best team in the country. It has to do more with, and even if you don't want to be cynical about it, it has to do more with, wow, should we weight the Big 12 teams higher than the ACC teams? Or should we weight this over that? Or heaven forbid, we don't want to piss off Alabama, so let's rank them here. Or let's make sure there's this many SEC teams in the top whatever. It's about anything other than let's come up with a fair ranking like the Jake and Ben Big 12 Power Poll, which is obviously completely fair, logical, and legit.
And objective.
Completely objective. There's nobody ranking the Raiders like 18th because they don't like their fans personally. Yeah, they never would anybody do anything like that. Never would some SEC clown go into the committee meeting and try to throw his weight around or her weight around or whatever. Well, I mean, I heard DJ and PK talking about the Big 12 people in the room that are sure are just playing defense. And what are they trading to, hey, put Utah a little higher? Like, it's meaningless. Ben, you brought this up yesterday? They took an undefeated Florida State team out because of circumstance.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that them losing their quarterback would affect them.
Yeah.
But what's the point? They were undefeated. They had beat everybody.
Yeah.
What is the point? Is the point for some bozo clown to look into all the depth charts of the team and go, I don't think the backup left tackle is going to be very effective with his 60% ankle, so therefore let's pick Ballore. That's so dumb. This is dumb. I think, sure, it's good for Utah. Sure, it's good for BYU to be in the top 10, but it doesn't mean anything. I put more stock in the AP top 25, to be honest.
I don't, but I agree with you that they are not beholden to whatever their rules are today. A month from now, when they are deciding who's going to be in this playoff. What they did in their first ranking is going to have nothing to do with what they do in their final ranking.
And there are no rules.
Right, there are no rules. And to your point, if they are willing, and I understand that Florida losing their quarterback when they were undefeated, Florida State, and they were only doing a 4-team college football playoff at that point, right? And pulling them out and saying, well, we don't think it's the same team without their starting quarterback. Well, that's legit. Yes, it totally derails everything else that they have said, but it also highlights that they can just change the rules when they want to best fit what you have always called it, which is it's a TV show. It's not about fairness. It's about what they think is going to get the best ratings. So
/ not getting sued. Because there is that component to it, too.
Over the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks if you count this week, which, not for Utah because they've got the bye week, but 3 games, Utah could win out. And yes, even if they are sitting at 11 or 10, 3 weeks from today, going into what will be the final week of the season before the college or the conference championship games, there could be a situation where, yes, a team behind Utah wins a conference championship game or loses a conference championship game, and they say, well, yeah, I know Georgia Tech technically won the ACC, so we're going to put them in. But Virginia really had a great year, so they deserve to be in too, and they're going to jump Utah. That those shenanigans are still very much on the table. So Utah being at 13 is better than being at 19. It's better than being at 20 or unranked. But you're right. I don't think it necessarily lays out if these two teams in front of you lose, Utah's automatically in. There's nothing automatic about how this process works.
I totally agree with you other than the word better. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Why did SMU make the playoff last year? They were a story.
Yeah.
They got headlines because of the way they got into the conference and because they all of a sudden were the new person and they were rattling off all these wins and they were in the right time zone. And so they were a bigger story than BYU, so they picked SMU. What was SMU ranked last year in the first week of the College Football Playoff Bowl? I bet you $1 zillion it was lower than BYU.
Probably, yeah.
So how much did that end up mattering?
Right.
None. Is it better? I don't know. It's not worse. It's not better. It's meaningless, which is sad, I think, honestly.
Well, again, the only thing that matters is your ranking in the final ranking
so
that comes out.
don't do this. This is stupid. These polls, this is dumb. And the reason I put more stock into the AP is because it's a much larger sample size. It's not, I don't even know, how big is the College Football Playoff Committee now? Is 10, 12 people?
Let's look.
10, 12 self-interested bozos. I'm going to trust their evaluation over
13 members.
Yeah. At least the AP has they have a over 100 people vote at least.
Yeah, ton of writers, yeah.
By the way, last year's initial college football playoff ranking, SMU was 13, BYU 9.
Now, BYU lost before the end of the season, right?
They were undefeated at that point, and then they lost 2 games after that.
And SMU did not. Am I correct? SMU ran the table from there on out. So if you want to look back at it, Utah sitting at 13, SMU sitting at 13. SMU continued to win. Utah, and they needed teams like BYU to lose a couple of games and fall out. That's the case for Utah. But again, you can't apply last year's logic to this year.
But you're going to discount the BYU win over SMU because BYU's losses came at a different point during the schedule or the calendar? That's stupid.
I agree.
So what is the scoreboard? There is no scoreboard.
Well, and the flaw of having a ranking after week 8 is it inherently does reward what you do late in the season, right? If you lose in week 10, like we saw with BYU, they're going to ding you worse than if you lost in week 4, which is what happened to Utah, or week 5 when Utah lost to Texas Tech. I guess it was week 4, right? It was the Big 12 opener. Or if you lose to BYU in week 7 or whatever that was, because the ranking just hasn't come out yet. So, yeah, a late loss is going to hurt you worse than an early loss, which is very silly. If it's just a loss and you're not just...
No, wait, not just a loss to the other team they're considering.
Right. But
a head-to-head on the field result.
But that's why this is silly.
It is.
Conceivably, you should be able to put these in a hat and just draw out all the victories and not know what week these games were played in and say, well, BYU finishes the season 11-1 or 10-2, but they beat Utah. Yes, maybe they lose to Texas Tech twice and lose to them in the conference championship game as well, but they beat Utah, and so, of course, that's a better season than what Utah had, who also finished 10-2 but didn't go to the conference championship game. But that's not what they're doing. It's not without context. It relies entirely on the context of when you're winning these games, which, again, is extraordinarily silly. And that's not a knock. Congrats, Utah. I think Utah is a really good team. I think Utah could be the top 13, 14, 15 team in the country. Maybe they are. I'm a little surprised, honestly, BYU's as low as they are. Why are they behind Ole Miss? Why are they behind some of these teams that do have a loss of their schedule already? But needing context is a little bit silly about what the whole idea was behind the playoff.
By the way, did you see that Sark is already crying about maybe getting more SEC teams in?
I believe it.
Yeah, a 3-loss Texas team. What do you bet me that narrative of, they've got a Manning and they're Texas and whatever eventually wins in that playoff committee room? I mean, it's anyway, I don't mean to be bent out of shape. I think Utah's red hot, and I think they're playing great, and they're steamrolling teams, which is a good thing. And they're running the heck out of the ball, and the defense actually looks better than I thought it would going into the season, and I thought they were going to be pretty good. So that's great. Utah deserves recognition. And BYU does too. 7, should they be ahead of Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama? They have a better record than all 3 of those teams. Maybe. If it mattered, I'd care more.
Here is the top 10, if you did not see it yesterday. Ohio State 8-0, number 1. Indiana 9-0, number 2. Texas A&M 8-0, number 3, which is why I'm a little bit perplexed, I guess, is why BYU is not higher. BYU is also 8-0, and they are not sitting right behind those 3 other undefeated teams. Alabama 7-1, Georgia 7-1, Ole Miss 8-1. And I get you can say, well, strength of schedule, they're playing in the SEC, all 3 of those teams. That's why they're ahead of BYU. BYU's playing the teams they can. They're beating all the teams they can. They beat the number 13 team in the country, according to your list. That's their best matchups. They've won them all. So they'll get Texas Tech this weekend. You would hope if they beat Texas Tech, they do jump up to 5, because that's a huge top 10 win. You can no longer argue against them, but yeah, that does show, I guess, I don't want to say bias, but a little bit of how they're viewing the value of the Big Ten and the SEC over the Big 12.
Yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
I honestly just want to go back to the old bowl system. Like, not the BCS, not the Alliance, but just like if you win the Pac-12, you go to the Rose Bowl. That's what I want. If you win the ACC, you go to the Orange Bowl. It was better.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
Now, nobody will agree with me except for you, which I'm grateful for. But, yeah, I mean, people want to watch a bunch of 2-loss and 3-loss teams have a chance at a title. Okay. I guess it's more games, which, I like watching football, so that's great.
And Utah fans can be happy that they're ranked above Miami, USC, Michigan, Washington. Those were teams that were measuring sticks for a while. Not Miami necessarily, but USC, Washington were certainly teams that you were compared to for a long time over your life in the Pac-12. So you don't have to, or you can still wear that as a feather in your cap.
Well, you should print up a certificate.
First college football playoff ranking.
Send it on up there.
2025.
Give them something they can put on the fridge, man.
Ahead of Michigan.
Yeah, that's it. Now, if there is something you can hang your hat on, boy, howdy, that is it.
You're right. There is absolutely a case, though, that Virginia, who's sitting at 8-1, and Virginia would get an auto qualifier because they're leading the ACC right now. But Louisville at 7-1, Vandy at 7-2, Georgia Tech 8-1, even Miami at 6-2 or USC at 6-2, all based on how the wind blows could jump Utah for really no reason, just because the committee says like, oh well, they're more exciting,
because
they're more fun.
Someone got a hemorrhoid over the weekend and is in a bad mood when they walked into the committee meeting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's totally silly. If Stinkin' wins out, yeah, they're putting them in over Utah. I bet you $1 zillion.
As much as you could look at, Utah only needs Notre Dame to lose a game and Texas to lose a game and, Ole Miss to lose a game, and Utah can jump up into that top 12, 11, 10, you also have to understand those 5 teams before you are looking at the exact same thing. And if push comes to shove, are they going to take Utah over, a Vanderbilt? Not that Vanderbilt's necessarily a great program historically, but they're an SEC school, and they have been a fun story this year.
Ben, just to prove your point, Stinkin' Riley and USC have these 4 games left. Home against Northwestern, home against Iowa, who is currently in the top 25, at Oregon, home against UCLA. If Stinkin' wins out,
yeah, they're going to jump Utah, no question.
No question.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to win out. I don't think they're going to beat Oregon, but if they do, yes.
They're going.
Absolutely going to leap Utah. Because they're going to say, well, Utah beat Kansas State, whatever.
And
Kansas,
then,
yeah.
But did you see Stinkin' take it to the Ducks?
You're right.
It's a guarantee. So then what does this 13th ranking mean?
Right now, absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Kalani's taping it up to the bulletin board and saying, we're getting no respect.
Yeah.
That's about all it's
to your
good
point,
for.
Vanderbilt closes the season against number 3 ranked Tennessee. You win that game, that's better than what Utah has done over the final 3 weeks. You can justify Vandy jumping Utah. Absolutely you can.
Which is what they likely want to do.
Could be. Utah needs some help in front of them if you believe this ranking.
So even the ranking number 13 is kind of condescending if you really think about it. Like, oh, we'll give you a cute little ranking in week 1. But guess what? When these other teams win,
you're
we're
going to win
moving
out
you
and
back.
you're going to drop.
And then when you complain about it, we're going to say, we thought you were great. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah.
They should just take the Big 12 power poll.
Absolutely.
Or they should
And
let us vote. I'll go in there with all sorts of personal vendettas.
Cincinnati number 1.
Yeah,
Cincinnati
you want to see
Bearcats.
the Bearcats are getting in. That's my first decision. That's my
non-negotiable.
That's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Is Cincinnati's going to be playing?
Texas Tech out of the 25.
Not a chance.
Oh, Texas Tech is getting. I don't know. Can the NCAA punish? Can the College Football Playoff Committee punish? I'd take away scholarships. Is that even a thing anymore?
No, because you just pay the players.
I'd have their stadium condemned. Could I do that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Joey McGuire gets suspended. Moe Jaguar gets banned from the stadium.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let's put the wheels in motion. Christian, call somebody. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com coming up next. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contests. And listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, the Jazz have an early afternoon matchup today at the Pistons.
Pistons are good. Pistons are 5-2 on the season. They're the 3rd-ranked team right now in the Eastern Conference. And this is an interesting matchup. Keontae George, who's been so good defensively and just so good overall this season. I want to see how he does against Cade Cunningham, who is one of the best guards in the NBA.
And bigger than he is.
Much bigger than he is.
Yeah.
So like 6'6".
He's going to have to dig deep a little bit. You know, one thing about these Eastern road trips that I like, Ben, is it kind of gives us an excuse to talk about the Eastern Conference and teams over there that we don't necessarily talk about a ton. And I'm curious where you're at on the Pistons. They didn't really show up at all in our preseason NBA predictions. You and I, neither one of us thought they would be in the conference finals or go into the finals. Where are we at on Detroit and their evolution as a team? I mean, not only Cade, but they've got some other nice pieces, and then they added vets and took a step. How far does that step go?
I didn't love their offseason because I don't know if they necessarily got better other than they got more mature, and then you're betting on their young guys like Jalen Duren to take a step forward. And Jaden Ivey's never really become a guy. He's just always hurt. And, there's kind of some hope that he might become a player, and he just has not. So they are a midseason acquisition away from being a real contender to come out of the Eastern Conference. I do believe that. Now, it's a big acquisition. It's a Lowry, Markkanen level acquisition if they were to go out there and try to make that type of trade.
Toby Harris isn't doing it for you.
He's a good player. He's just not that caliber of player. But they're well coached. I think JB Bickerstaff is good at doing what he does, which is taking okay teams and making them better than that. I don't know if he takes them to conference title contender or conference championship, even like the conference or the series to get them there. So I don't know if he's going to get you the conference finals, but I do think he kind of raises the bar from mediocre to good pretty well. So that's where I think they are still. But again, a nice start to the season. They're not fully healthy, but they're better than some of the rest of these teams. Again, the weird thing about the East right now is Chicago Bulls are the number 1 team in the East. It's like the East is truly a mess.
I like Cade, but he is not my favorite young player.
Okay.
I think he's good, but I mean, if I had to pick between him and several other players of his generation, I think I might go a different direction. But outside of him, who I do like, I don't love this roster. Ben.
No,
Where
agreed.
are you at on Asar Thompson?
He is definitely the lesser of the two brothers, but he's still good. It is the hard thing if you can't shoot. At what point, what's your ceiling going to be? And he certainly does not have the ball skills that his brother has, where, Amen is playing point guard right now for the Houston Rockets, and Asar doesn't have to do that because they do have Cade Cunningham. But yeah, he's good. He's a good player. He's not an all-star future player, and I guess that's the question: is who is their other young guy who's going to make the leap? Who's gonna be the other guy with Cade Cunningham to kind of give them a big two and then fill out the rest of the roster? I don't know if he's on the roster yet.
Well, it was going to be Fontecchio, but they traded him away.
They got rid of Simone.
That's a big loss for them.
Not great.
The one thing Cade doesn't do it well is shoot it. That's kind of the reason I'm not. I mean, I don't know. Paolo Banchero doesn't shoot it all that well either, but I like Paolo better than I like Cade, even though they play different positions. Don't get me wrong.
Again, they are still a big piece away from being taken seriously, in my opinion. And look, they're better than the Jazz tonight. They should beat the Jazz tonight. I think the Jazz can make this a tough game, but I don't think Tobias Harris can be your third leading scorer at 13.5 points a game and you be taken seriously. Good for Asar. He's taken a little bit of a leap forward. He is at 13.3 points per game, and he's at 7 rebounds. He's at 3 assists. Like, he's a very useful player. If he's the fifth guy in your starting lineup, I think you've got a really good team. If you're asking him to do a lot more than that, I think it's going to be difficult. So can you go out and get the Lowry or whoever the other guy is going to be out there to pair with Cade to make that run?
Maybe the best argument for Detroit and overachieving this year is that the East is really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Mm-hmm. They're going to play against a lot of bad teams. They're going to be able to get a lot of easy wins. The East is just dreadful.
Yeah, again, the Chicago Bulls are the number one team in the Eastern Conference right now at 6-1 to start the season, and they do have some good wins. They beat Milwaukee, they beat Detroit, they beat New York Philly last night. I think they've already beaten the Knicks. Like, they've had a good start to the season as far as beating the who's who of the Eastern Conference, but I don't know what the who's who of the Eastern Conference means. I mean, Orlando's been absolutely awful to start the season as well, and we like them. So what's going to be the next step that puts them in that legitimate company? And then how legitimate do we believe anybody is in the Eastern Conference? I don't know.
Orlando's making weird, strategic. Well, they're trying to go to a high-paced offense, and it doesn't really suit their roster.
The defense is falling off.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Memphis is doing, where they're trying to implement a new concept, but they don't really have a roster that really works with. So, I don't know. I find Detroit interesting. As far as the Jazz go, I want to see if the effort level is maintained. I mean, I'm sure Will Hardy doesn't want to yell at his team about effort after every single game, and he did it once after the Phoenix game. Uh-huh. And then they responded. No, against Charlotte.
Yeah.
No.
He did it against both.
He did it against both.
Phoenix and Charlotte.
And then they really responded against Boston. Well, now do you do it again?
Yeah.
And then do you do it again? And if there is reason to be optimistic about Keontae George, is he's brought it in every single game.
Yeah.
That is big reason to be optimistic about that guy.
He is on the radar. That's what's interesting about Keontae now is he's not going to sneak up on anybody. Lowry is scoring 30 points a game, and all of a sudden he was the focus of everything Boston did to try and slow him down, and they had a lot of success, and then Keontae picked up the slack. Now that Lowry's obviously at the top of the scouting report and being taken seriously because he averages 30 points a game, and Keontae's averaging 23 points a game, and you're starting to understand that he's mining free throws. He's averaging 9 free throw attempts a game. Teams are going to start adjusting. So how do you adjust that now? Asar Thompson, who we're talking about, who's a very good defensive player, is probably going to be on one of those two guys and probably going to do a pretty good job of taking them out of it. Can the other person carry it? Can Keontae keep getting to the free throw line? Does Lowry keep getting open looks, which he's leading the league right now? Those are the types of things I'm keeping an eye on tonight.
What is next?
Number 2, Clayton Keller, the captain, wins it for the Mammoth in OT.
Keller in the offensive zone. He has an assist here tonight. Keller on the attack, skates downhill and scores! The captain says goodnight in Buffalo.
Overtimes in hockey are funny. They're either 30 seconds long or or it goes to a shootout. You either score right away in the 3-on-3 or nobody seems to score in these games, and that's certainly what happened last night. The Mammoth gave up a really good opportunity to the Sabres right out of the gate. Malcolm made a great stop. They kept the puck alive, and Keller just drove down. And it was horrendous defensive play from the Sabres because they just let Clayton Keller, as you heard there in the highlights, skate right towards the net and got a good shot on goal and put it in. But a nice win after losing back-to-back games to start this road trip with another victory against a feisty Buffalo team. That was their 5th straight overtime in Buffalo. Pretty brutal.
How did Peterka do in his revenge game? Did he fist fight everybody?
No, but Kesselring almost got into a fight. It got pretty feisty. So we didn't quite see that. But no, it was really the Clayton Keller show. Clayton assisted on the Schmaltz goal. That was the only goal in regulation, and then had the game winner.
He's quite good.
Yeah, Keller's good. And you know what? He's among the young players on the team, or I should say, I guess the faces on the team, those top 6 players on the offensive side. He's maybe been kind of weirdly the most quiet other than Barrett Hayton. You know, you've had big moments from Peterka, you've had big moments from Cooley, you've had big moments from Gunther. Schmaltz had 16 or 17 points, whatever it is. Keller, as good as he is, has been just a little quiet, so I think that was a big moment for him last night.
Now they head across the border to take on the Maple Leafs. I hope they make sure to get all their fruit out of their bag. And I hope they're not taking their pets, because that's a no-no, right?
You can't take your pets to Canada?
Well, crossing the border with any sort of animal, isn't that not a thing?
You can get something greenlit. Maybe not.
You can't take fruit and stuff?
Well, relationships right now are tested.
That's not specifically about Canada. That's like anywhere.
Oh, you can take pets wherever you want. Just fly them around. Just sneak them in. Yeah, next to all your lemons or whatever.
Yeah.
Your invasive fruit.
So anyway.
Tonight against Toronto. So another chance to get a victory. We'll see how they do.
What's next?
Back to the initial college football playoff rankings. Big 12 has 3 teams in there, about what we predicted here on the show.
Surprised nobody's coming in 25, 24, 23. Again, not that those teams matter in the slightest. But are we surprised there's not any love for your Bearcats or Houston, both coming off of a loss, which I think certainly hurt them?
Yeah, because all that matters is when you lose. It does, nothing else
That's
matters
true.
because nobody has a memory.
TCU was on a bye week, so they all only watched football last week. The College Football Playoff Committee decided the season began on Saturday, so they watched those games Saturday. They said, well, if you won, we like you.
I'm just convinced that people, more and more as I go forward, I think most people are Guy Pearce in Memento. Just
no memory.
Memory hole something 15 minutes after it happens. Why didn't TCU get ranked? Well, they didn't play this weekend.
Yeah. That's very fair.
You know the season's been going on for several months.
Nope.
I didn't see them.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me. What? Who?
I think you're right about the committee not being big enough. I actually think that's a good point. Legitimately, it's hard to watch all these teams for just 13 people. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of context that you're looking for and trying to parse out with just 13 people in this committee. But you have the AP poll, which has hundreds of voters, and they represent different blocks of the country and every market. Yeah, probably gives you a reasonable idea of like some fairness, and also it accounts for bias. Inherently, there's going to be bias in our state towards our local teams, but that happens everywhere. When you only have 13, that bias gets weighed more heavily depending on where these people are.
Again, the watch the games argument is funny to me because even if they're not doing it on purpose, to your point, they're not evaluating based on who they think the best team is or actually trying to rank. Coach Witt ranked the 2008 Utes number 1 in the coaches poll, was he really trying to fairly rank the teams or was he just ranking himself number 1? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Silly. I don't know. The poll is silly, but I part of me thinks they put the Big 12 teams there just to move them down.
They have been known in the past to set up talking points with their rankings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Utah, I think, is more of a victim of this. I don't think they're setting up Utah to play patsy. I think what they're doing is they are setting up Michigan. They are setting up USC. They are setting up Washington. They are setting up Miami. They are setting up behind the teams behind Utah in the ranking to move up.
To jump them with big wins.
Vanderbilt to climb. Yeah. Georgia Tech to climb. Now, look, if Georgia Tech finishes the season 8-1 or 11-1 and beats Georgia the last week of the season, they've had a better season than Utah and they deserve to be in. I'm not trying to discount some of those aspects, but yes, the Miamis, the Vandys, the Louisvilles, they set those teams up to jump Utah with big wins late.
Utah is the sacrificial lamb.
Which, you know what? It's another argument against the Big 12 scheduling Utah and BYU in the middle of the season. If BYU is going to be a good team every year or Utah is going to be a good team every year, they should play late. Play late and let that win have some value late in the season. Whoever goes in is going to get a big victory in the College Football Playoff Committee's perspective. And they value those late in the season.
Man, look at some of the bozos on this committee. Mike Riley. Nice man. Huge bozo. Mark D'Antonio. Huh? Yeah, he's killing it. One lady on the college.
Only one? Okay.
Carla Williams.
Who's she?
Let me see. In her 7th year as director of athletics at, I automatically dislike her, the University of Virginia.
Okay.
No, but think about it. Why would you have Virginia's AD in the?
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Why would you have any AD?
Yeah, why would you have somebody who inherently isn't impartial? And she can say she is, but no. What does she watch? What does she see? What does she have to do? She has a responsibility to watch her school specifically.
Oh man, I've interviewed one of these guys, Ivan Mizell. Remember him?
Okay.
He's a reporter.
All right, that's good. Have more of those guys.
Sports writer for decades. I think I interviewed him at a BYU Media Day when they were independent, of course.
Yeah.
But anywho, yeah. Well, I'm glad you agree with me about the sample size.
Yeah, it's a good point.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. We've got What You Got Wednesday at 11:30. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies return home to Logan for a battle against the Nevada Wolfpack. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Win big every Wednesday on the station with Win Ticket Wednesday, which is today. Let's get it going. Caller 12, 801-575-ZONE. We're going to hook you up with 4 tickets to go to the Magic Holiday Lights at the Ballpark at America First Square, a brand new immersive holiday tradition opening November 14th. Be the 12th caller right now, 801-575-ZONE. Ben, I usually like transparency when it comes to most things. I think most people do. But is it about time that we just stop with the referee pool reporter and the 5-minute reporter, whatever that stupid
2-minute
thing
report.
is?
Yep.
Like, everybody's demanding referee accountability, and all the stuff they've come up with is basically just cats in the wall because refs are terrible and probably bent. And
Cat in the wall, eh?
But, well, the example here, Ben, from the Jazz Celtics game. In the final minute, there was a play where Keontae George was guarding Jaylen Brown. Keontae slips.
So clearly a wet spot on the floor.
Slips and kind of kicks the ball, too, by the way. Does both of those things. Jaylen Brown goes toppling over him.
Also slips, though. Like, clearly stepped on the same wet spot.
And then there's a run out for the Jazz on the other end, and the Jazz eventually win the game. The referee...
Jaylen Brown was livid, by the way, after the game.
Livid, yeah. He was upset about it. And the referee did the pool report. And for people who don't know, they pick one reporter who's covering the game, and that reporter gets to ask him a question about a controversial
If there's something that goes on that the media wants explained, they can go and talk to one of the referees, representing the rest of the referees about what happened in the game.
And they always, Ben, give some clown explanation that doesn't make any sense because they're, I don't know, sensitive to self-criticism.
Sure.
They actually told Jaylen Brown in the moment that they didn't see it, which is actually, I think, believable. Like that they were staring at some gal in the third row instead of
the ball in his hand?
Instead of doing their job. I would actually believe that. But they said, well, both of them slipped before there was contact, so that was not a foul. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous explanation and has nothing to do with the rules of fouling. So you can foul anybody you want as long as you slip first?
Yeah, as long as you slip, yeah. This was the question.
No, am I crazy? Am I taking crazy pills? Or is that a ridiculous explanation? Ridiculous. Not to mention they missed the kick in the first place. Keontae fouls Jaylen Brown. He does. I understand why Jaylen's upset.
Sure.
And he went on Twitch, which is, what is that, Christian? What is Twitch? Is that like the
It's a streaming platform.
Is that like the Snapchat?
It started streaming video games, but now it's just a way to have people come and watch you do whatever.
Anyway, he says on Twitch, the whole staff blows the bleeping call, costs us the game. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know what I think should have happened? The ref blows the call, then they say nothing, then they don't talk to anybody. Jaylen Brown gets upset in the postgame, and then we all move on with our life. What did the pool report with this stupid excuse do for anyone? What did it do for anyone other than make Jaylen Brown angry all over again?
Again, if you didn't see the play, Keontae goes to defend Jaylen Brown above the three-point line, straight on from the basket. Keontae tries to jump into a stance. Both feet slip out. Jaylen Brown realizes he's slipped and kind of tries to, dribble around him. Jaylen Brown's left foot absolutely slips on the same wet spot, and he does, and he starts to trip, but then he falls over Keontae George's entire body, which would be illegal to be on the ground to just trip somebody because you can't just lay on the floor and trip guys, to your point. And when asked about it, the pool reporter says, with about 47 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Keontae George fell in front of Jaylen Brown, who was driving towards the basket. No, this is the question.
Oh, okay.
Brown then fell over George, but no foul was called. What was your view of this play, and why was no foul called on George? And the referee says, during live play, the crew observed George slip and fall prior to Brown slipping on the same spot, resulting in the ball becoming loose prior to any contact. So they did agree that it was the result of two players slipping more so than Keontae George. Regardless, nobody's buying it. Nobody cares, and it didn't change the outcome of the game. So to your point, while, yes, you may believe that that is transparency, what did it accomplish?
Nothing. And it's not even that transparent.
Because and it's still over something subjective. Do you think that Jaylen Brown slipped and that's why he lost the ball? Or do you think he slipped and then fell over Keontae George and it's still a foul on Keontae George? That's the story.
Right. Yeah.
So who cares what they think they saw? Everyone's going to still feel differently about those types of plays.
I mean, it's got to be like a highway patrolman listening to people throw out excuses about speeding.
What did they say in the last 2-minute report? Do we know? Let me go back and see if I can find it really quick.
But even that, what does that give you? Dick Bavetta shafted the Jazz. Do you think anybody on the Jazz or even the fans would have felt better if a pencil-neck reporter went up to Dick Bavetta and said, hey, explain that call? Do you think that would have helped anyone?
Well, again, this is the funny thing.
Would that have done anything for anyone?
So the pool report is the mouth, it's the word of the actual official. Exactly what they saw, why they didn't call the foul. The last 2-minute report says, George slips and falls into Brown's path, tripping Brown. Incorrect, no call. So the last 2-minute report contradicts what the ref says he saw.
Said himself.
So, yeah,
what does it do for anyone?
What transparency are you getting?
What did it do for anybody? Yeah. Except for re-anger Jaylen Brown while he's just trying to do a what is it called? Twitch?
Twitch.
He's just trying to twitch.
Christian, do you stream?
No.
Your wife works evenings sometimes because she's a nurse. God bless her. And you have the night to yourself. And you have the camera equipment because I see you post Utah and BYU doing the show with Alex. You guys do our post-game coverage. You can use that gear to set up your Twitch and play NHL.
I don't have anything interesting.
What's the new game you're playing? Satisfactory? It comes out today. You playing that? What are you doing?
Madden.
Madden. Okay, you're on Madden right now.
No, I'm not a streamer.
You should be. Supplemental income.
Nobody wants to watch me take my Broncos.
Got that baby on the way.
15 years in the franchise mode.
Are you that far out?
No, not yet.
Okay, how many years in are you?
I think 2.
2. Okay. So you still got to throw picks.
Yeah.
You haven't had to lose him yet.
So you can play video games and then stream on Twitch. So people just watch you tweak?
Yes, people are watching the tweakers. You can interact. You send questions. You talk to people while they're doing it. And a lot of times it is celebrities or attractive people, which is where you would fit in that. You kind of cross both. Yeah, your Venn diagram is attractive person and celebrity. So you should be tweaking on camera.
I did play Juju Smith-Schuster in Madden on his Twitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a fun thing. That's cool.
I lost.
You lost. He was good.
Juju tweaks?
Or were you bad? Big tweaker.
Big tweaker. I wouldn't have pegged Christian for a tweaker.
So what's your tweaker handle? At Esparza Tires? At Brigham City Tires?
Brigham City. At BC Tweaker.
I bet there's a lot of tweakers in Brigham City.
Yeah, that means a different thing. Certain small towns.
Well, I'm just saying they're video. Well, Christian's obviously into video games.
Tweaker is a great social media app as a concept. Better than the idea of Twitch. Better than the name.
Tweak.
It's great.
I'm tweaking.
I'm tweaking.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.